long time ago in France, after the sun had set on a successful hunt, the hunters would gather in candlelight and dine on this very dish, Civet de Cerf, or stew of the stag. It was the centerpiece of the table, a rich venison stew, slow cooked in red wine, herbs, and in the very old recipes, the animal's own blood. So not exactly vegetarian friendly. We're going to be making a slightly less medieval version today. Still the same idea, just with fewer bodily fluids and a bit more chocolatey energy. What you see in front of you is a lump of deer, a bottle of bang-av red wine, mushrooms, carrots, celery, shallots, garlic, onion, tomato puree, thyme, bay leaves, black peppercorns, and juniper berries. It's almost everything you're gonna need for this recipe, but it's everything you do need for something deep, dark, and French. Dice up your deer. Any species will do. There are about 50 in the world, so take your pick. And don't worry too much about trimming it up. The long cook it's about to have will handle that. Now, the French have been making civet for hundreds of years, mostly as a way to use up whatever was caught that day. The word itself comes from cividier, meaning to stew in blood. Blood is supposed to enrich the sauce, add body, and show you were a person of means. You had so much game, in fact, you could afford to make soup out of its blood. Luckily, the French don't flex like this anymore. I actually tried goose blood soup once in Sweden, and it was intense. Imagine a gravy that's halfway to black pudding, and then somebody decided to make it into a heavily spiced drink. Strong doesn't quite cover it, but it was still pretty good and I'd order it again. Now, fun fact, this overnight soak wasn't just about flavour. Back in the day, it helped to tenderize the meat and, more importantly, mask any slightly questionable freshness. Meat didn't arrive shrink wrapped, it was hung for days, sometimes weeks. It's a process the French call rasir, which means to let go stale. The wine and herbs made it all smell more like dinner and less like the inside of a saddlebag. The addition of juniper and pepper goes back to medieval hunting lodges too. Herbs and spices weren't just seasoning, they were medicine, or so they believed. A few juniper berries were said to help digestion, which, given what they were eating, probably wasn't a bad idea. Civet de Cerf was once the kind of dish served in grand halls after a royal hunt. Picture it, tapestries, roaring fires, and people in tights congratulating each other for being the hero of the day. The chef would have been a master of game cookery, spending days layering flavours to impress dukes and kings, and now, here we are. Same concept, fewer servants, and more debt. This deer wasn't bagged by nobility either, just me in some woods as part of a modern management plan. The romance of the chase is still there though, and it's nice knowing this animal's been properly used and appreciated. Although maybe, just maybe in the future I'll do a hunt in tights just to see what it was like. If you've never had it, venison is a very lean meat. A deer is athletic, but the meat is clean and honest. There's no fat to hide behind, so the meat does not stand abuse. Cook it fast and it punishes you. Cook it slowly and it gives you everything. Whilst that all cooks, we're going to knock up some dumplings. Simple ones. Self-raising flour, beef suet, salt, pepper and a splash of water. Mix it all together until it forms something that looks vaguely edible. Dumplings don't need to be fancy, they're just there to soak up the flavour and fill the gaps. They've been around forever. Every culture has them. The French have quenelle, the Germans have knödel, the Brits just called them dumplings because, well, we're straight to the point and dumplings is an English word. Right, stew is ready, out of the oven, bubbling away. Now here's the twist. 5 cubes of dark chocolate go in. It sounds odd, but chocolate in savoury food isn't new. When cocoa first arrived in Europe in the 1500s, chefs in Spain and France started adding it to rich sauces. Not for sweetness, but for depth. A tiny touch of bitterness to bring balance. The dumplings here were baked separately. I know you can steam them on top, but if it all went wrong and this stew tasted bad, I did at least want to eat these dumplings. Plate it all up. Stew, Dumplings, a bit of parsley if you're feeling fancy, and that's it. A dish with a few hundred years of history, reimagined for a modern kitchen. And the taste? Surprisingly elegant. Super rich and earthy with that warm tang from the juniper and peppercorns. All of it balanced out by the dark wine and the faint bitterness of chocolate. Just the kind of thing you'd eat after a long day outdoors, feeling like you've earned it. You know, just as the French hunters once did. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.